last chapter for today, folks, and chapter 3. The quote at the beginning says, "The 5th of January, 1607, we anchored in the Downs, but the winds continued contrary so long that we were forced to stay there some time where we suffered great storms." Master George Percy. I rubbed my eyes and blinked in the dim light of the 'tween deck. The ship's rolls and pitches. I only know it's morning because the small bit of light that peeks in around the gun ports and closed hatch, and because the roosters and hens down in the hold know they have to start a racket. The 'tween deck reminds me of a root cellar in an orphanage. It has close walls and ceilings. It is one long room running almost the length of the ship, although one can hardly walk because of the barrels and crates that are taking up most of the room. At first, a few of the gentlemen hung pieces of cloth to make partitions, since they thought they deserved privacy, but those have all come down now in favor of setting up crates as card tables and barrels as sitting stools for their card games. The chickens are luckier than we are. Most days their crates are brought up on deck and they get fresh air to breathe, and the ship's cats and 2 dogs have the run of the place, and so do the ship's 1,000 rats. Ugh. We passengers are only allowed up to empty the slop buckets, the toilets, or to get stew pots for our meals. Captain Newport says he doesn't want us getting in the sailors' way up on deck. We are all seasick and bored, and we are going to absolutely no place. We have had nothing but storms and winds blowing in the wrong direction for weeks now, so we sit, anchored in the cold, close enough to see England's shores, but still trapped down in the hole of the 'tween deck with a smell of urine and vomit and chicken poop. The gentlemen complain constantly. They want to go back to shore and go home. Sir Edward Maria Wingfield is the most vocal in his complaints. He is furious at Captain John Smith, who keeps reminding the gentlemen that they have signed a 7-year contract with the Virginia Company and they may not quit this voyage. I can see why Master Wingfield wants to quit. Even living on the streets was better than this. Next to me, sleeping in our bed, a straw and canvas mattress thrown over some barrels, are Richard and snot-nosed 9-year-old James. James is a servant to a gentleman, George Percy, and afraid of everything. The men sleep 2 to a bed, but all 3 of us boys are crowded in together. There is a 4th boy, Nathaniel. He is older than I am, probably 13 or 14. It's a good thing he's on one of our ships, or they'd have us sleeping 4 to a bed. I kick James to wake him. "Give me some room, you little worm." James groans and rolls over. He leaves a smudge of snot on the canvas. "I'm not a worm," he whines sleepily. Everyone is waking up now. I hear yawning and grunting and men going to the bathroom in the slop buckets. "James, bring me my water, now!" Master Percy is not a patient man, and John has to hop up to get water even before he has a chance to rub the sleep out of his eyes. Richard is still sleeping. He is the soundest sleeper I've ever seen. Not even roosters crowing and men clomping by his ear will wake him. But Reverend Hunt is very sick with seasickness, and he will need help. So I jostle Richard hard. He groans, but doesn't open his eyes. Fine, I think. Let him get a lecture on slothfulness from the Reverend. James and Richard have become good friends to each other, even though James is a gentleman's son and Richard is a commoner. They are not my friends, though. I have kept my distance from them and everyone since on board the Susan Constant. Instead of trying to decipher which of the men are to be trusted and which are not, I have made it simple for myself. Trust no one. It's a philosophy that worked for me in the poorhouse, on the streets of London, and at the orphanage. I see no reason to change now. Captain Smith has not beat me yet. He does not seem inclined to, but you never can tell. There's not much required of me on board the ship, just to bring him his wash water in the morning and empty the slop buckets that we all use. There's not much for any of us to do. That's why there's so much time for the bubbling up of anger, and today it is the day that boils over. "I've had enough," Master Wingfield announces. "The food is monotonous and salty, the commoners stink, and the storms will not cease. We will sail back to London at once. Who is with me?" "I!" several of the gentlemen cry out. "We are with you. We're ready to turn back." Captain Smith stands to address him. "Are you all cowards?" he demands. "Are you liars? Were you lying when you signed your contracts with the Virginia Company?" I cringe. Captain Smith is especially angry today, and I know he has gone too far. I have seen how these gentlemen wield their power when they are insulted. Master Wingfield answers Captain Smith in a low growl. "You have forgotten your place, Mr. Smith." "They should never have sent you gentlemen on a voyage," Captain Smith nearly shouts. "You're all weak, every one of you. You gentlemen know nothing about survival." Master Wingfield is livid. I think he's about to thrash Captain John Smith. I would like to see a fight, but Reverend Hunt steps in. Sick as he is, Reverend Hunt calms Master Wingfield down and talks about how God wants us to bring Christianity to the New World and blah, blah, blah. He somehow makes a fragile peace and somehow convinces the gentleman to wait a little longer for an east wind. But I know there is no peace inside Master Wingfield. I know it is only a matter of time before he strikes again. It will not be with his fists, as we commoners do. No, no, Master Wingfield will use his power, and his power might be worse than fists. Bum, 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 bum. All for today, folks.